Welcome to the Vancouver Hawks Coach Development. This is the Fundamentals Part 1 video. I'm here, my name's Alex, I'm here with Matthias Ahrens here, very experienced coach, head coach of many national teams, and he is here to help us learn how to coach, improve our coaching at a fundamentals level. So, welcome, Matthias.
Yes, thank you very much, Alex. Yep, welcome to this webinar. We will talk today about coming back to the season. The junior season is coming up very soon, very quickly. Players coming back from the winter break. Some of you maybe have not seen the players for a whole year, and so now we intend to give you a very good start into this. Now you get information here and now where to start best in this whole training setup, because one of the most difficult one is for everyone, okay, where do you start? Another point before we start, please let me find some words to the fundamental stage. I think very important it is to mention that individual players in the fundamental stage have to be I better put my glasses on to read this. Have to be in a stimulating environment. This is quite an important part in the fundamental stage. It is a stage where they have to have freedom and fun. This is the big environment. The bit older age groups, to learn to train age group, what we also want to cover over here. The rules change a bit, and it is more like this, that players in this age already start to look for role models. So maybe in other sports they do have they look for soccer players, for football players, for baseball players. They will have their role models, and that means in this age we have to show them things, exercises, techniques, by doing and being good role model to them.
Awesome. And for those of us who don't know all the technical jargon, what age groups roughly is fundamentals?
Well, fundamentals is girls 6 to 8, boys 6 to 9 maybe, and learn to train. We have the 9 to 12, 8 to 11 with girls. So this is always depends a bit on how players are developed, and some are early in the next stage, the others are later.
Yeah, so we should emphasize that the fundamentals, these ideas are not based on absolute ages, but developmental stages, and everybody develops differently. So, but we're roughly looking at ages of 6 or 7 years old up to around 11 or 12 years old, with girls generally developing faster at this age group, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. So the way that we're going to do this now is we're going to switch from our lovely faces to a PowerPoint presentation, and we'll talk you through that, and you'll hear Matthias talking through a lot of the details, and every now and then you'll hear me asking some questions. Between this activity and the next one, you'll have an opportunity to give your feedback. And if you have any questions for Matthias, you're welcome to send them in to us, and we will attempt to answer those next time round. But right now, we'll start our presentation.
Okay. Good. So we will cover today set up a good training, warm up, purpose of the session, input of the coach, basic techniques, basic tactics, and skill matrix. So starting, setting up a good training. Setting up a good training starts with a warm up. Why do we do a warm up? I think everyone would agree. We have a warm up to get all physical demands running in the body, and this helps to have better training. But another point of a warm up is pretty much to pick up the whole team, every player, and prepare them for a good session mentally. So lots of the players come from school and have had a long day and whatever kind of problems. So in the warm up, it is a very good opportunity to get fun in, get them active, and have then a very, very concentrated training session. So a general structure for the training is the warm up in the fundamental stage. I think it is okay just if they run once around the field and then you start with a warm-up game. The next part should be a technical or tactical part, and then another game could follow, and the cool down again in the fundamental stage is also more a habit that everyone runs around the pitch than really a cool down with exercises. Good. So we go to the next one. So over here I put a warm up in what is done with FHBC from Kate Perry. These are the different areas of activation. So the glute activation, range of motion, running mechanics, landing mechanics, and acceleration. I would suggest in this age, fundamental, learn to train. In fundamental, not really to incorporate it at all. Maybe one of these areas in 1 week, the next area in the next week. Alex and I have spoken about that. We will make a video to this, and everyone knows, okay, what it really means glute activation, and then it is much easier to follow.
Absolutely.
Good.
And so, Matthias, how long would you suggest that a coach at, say, under 8s or under 10s spend on their warm-up part of the session?
Well, again, I think the warm-up should pretty much the warm-up game, and the warm-up itself without ball, I think is enough. Sending the kids around once around the pitch for a jog, and then going into the warm-up game. Yeah, gradually starting putting in some stretching exercises, so that we get the players better prepared for the learn to train phase, where stretching should more be a part of the training. Maybe to get everyone ready to go for the time when it starts, it is advisable to meet 10 minutes before training.
Perfect. Thank you.
So one central point of the training is to have a purpose in the training, and in the fundamental stage, we need to look into different purposes, objects, objectives for the training than in later age groups. The fundamental movement skills are one of the most important movement skills you can do you can bring to the players. So over here on the slide, you can see 70% of the time should be movement, and this movement can be in very different environments. So I would suggest to do lots of these movement skills in games.
And could you explain for us what we mean by fundamental movement skill?
Fundamental movement skills over here on the left side, we have if we throw a ball, then this is a fundamental movement skill: throwing, catching, striking, and we can transfer this into hockey by saying, okay, a right hand throw is a pass. A left hand throw is a reverse stick pass.
And just to be clear, we're talking about the movement skills that underlie the hockey skills, the sports specific skills that are coming later.
Right? Yeah. So I think very important are skills like running forward, sidewards, and backwards. Sounds very easy, but more and more children spend more time in front of screens and less running around. So that means all these basic skills are maybe also in this age not there where they could be, and this needs always to be incorporated into training. Okay, so moving on. The purpose of the session is really quite a big one. Finally, what we cannot so sorry. What we cannot expect from all coaches is that everyone knows, all right, what do I put as an objective into a training. I put out here some technical objectives. It can be, again, very simple. It can be the passing, it can be the receiving, the hitting on net, or defending. For the fundamental stage, tactical parts are much less. In the learn to train, yes, you do have for sure some small unit play. That means a 2-on-1 overload situation can lead into a 3v2 team attack. If you already have games, then you look into these ones and also into team defense.
So when our coaches are sitting down to plan the purpose of their session, which they should do obviously before each session, do you recommend they always have a technical and a tactical aspect to those sessions?
Well, we come to this. I think a very important part is to have a bit of an idea. What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve in the junior league time? So I will have 10 weeks approximately to train. I will have 10 training times, training opportunities. I start at one point, and at the end, what do I want to have achieved later on? So if we take the point of passing, then in the fundamental stage, maybe this is a technique where you have lots of beginners and they've not done it too often. Then I want to introduce this technique and I want to get it into a stable format. And if I do this in a learn to train, and I talk about receiving, and then I want to have a better body posture. So at the beginning, I say, okay, I work on receiving, and I progress the receiving. Every second training, for instance, I come back to one topic and develop it.
And then just for you guys watching, we at the end of this presentation, we have a skills matrix, which will will allow you to decide roughly what you want to include in your sessions, and what we would hope that our players are learning. And it should be noted that anytime you're picking these things, you should make sure that it's relevant to your group. Maybe your group already knows how to pass really well, but they don't know how to receive yet. So obviously you're going to focus on that more. So each group is different, and that's part of your job as the coach to decide what the purposes of your sessions are going to be.
Yeah. So if we stay with the purpose of the session, we go back to the warm up game. Then one warm up game, just quickly explain, could be you have you have a field of 20 by 15 meters, and you make this in 3 equal parts. You have 3 teams: Team A, Team B, and Team C. Team A is on the left, Team B is in the middle, and Team C is on the right of this field. And the task is just to pass. A passes the ball to C, and if B intercepts the ball, then they switch with the team what has lost the ball. So this is a very simple game, and this is a game which includes passing. So now you have a warm-up game and you have passing in it. You can now, in your technical bit, you can deepen the passing by, we say, you pass balls through a gate, and then everyone has a task to be successful 3 or 4 times, passing the ball through the gate, and then you have a bit of a competition already in it, and that also means a bit of fun.
So you're saying, I guess, that the warm-up game that you do will then lead into the technical aspects that you're going to focus on.
Yeah, this is. I think this is always a quite good idea, that you prepare the team for what you want to do later. So the warm-up is a part also from the movement. What you do later. So for instance, you can do in the warm-up, you can get down on the ground and train that the players pick up balls so that they always go very low. If you want to do defending exercises where you have to go low, that is a very good warm-up. Good. So I mentioned already, you have how can you really learn, and how can you as coach on top of this regulate and see where is the learning. So the rough form of learning is pretty much when the technique is possible to identify, but in the beginner state, not stable in repetition, the execution is often failed, the competition is not precise. So in the fine form, when the technique is precisely executed, repeatedly and stable, but without opposition contact. So I come back to the exercise, to the example passing. So a player who can pass a ball in a fundamental stage to his teammate over 5 meters, and you increase to 10 meters, and he cannot reach the teammate anymore because the ball is not precisely, then this is a rough form. The fine form would be if he can do this over 10 meters and he is able to reach his teammate. The finest form, now this is how you can check it is when the technique is precisely executed in various changing situations, including opposition contact. So this is pretty much not very likely in the fundamental stage, but in the learn to train stage, I think there will be some players who can already pass the ball to the teammate if there's also opposition player.
So just again for you guys out there, we're not going to test you on this information. You don't need to know like the steps of learning or anything like that. But it's very valuable for you guys to know. You're not going to expect your 8-year-old kids to have the finest form of the skills that you're teaching. So make sure you manage your expectation. And this is quite a simple way you can do that and gauge how well they're doing.
Good. So this is now again the how do I start the training session. I think the topic to find is from the topics before. What do I really? Where do I start? Do I start with attack? Do I start with defense? My point to that always would be some maybe might seen the Super Bowl final few weeks ago, and that was a quite boring one. Some say who do like the defense say maybe it was quite exciting, but it shows defense also does quite a lot for the game. So starting with defense is always a good point, and then following up with attack. Last point: think about how the session has fun. Fun, I think, always comes if you keep the boys and girls active, if you give them some challenges, and if they can achieve goals, then it's always good fun. Good. So input of the coach. This is now a bit a topic where we have to see you as a coach on the field. Please encourage the players that they try their best. That means from the feedback, everything should be very positive. Treat the players with respect is, I think, also a very big one. Players really feel it quite quickly if there are things not going the right way. Ensure players getting playing time, and make sure also for the parents that they get equal playing time. This always can be one. In fundamental age group and in learn to train, I think it's already time to work on a team bonding, on a team feeling, and if there are players in the team who are not there yet, make them better teammates. Good.
And just to add to that, if you are coaching a team that is in the spring league and playing against other teams, yes, we want to be competitive and win every match, try to win every match, but it's much more important that we give these players, our young players, a sense of love for the game, and that everything that Matthias has just said is directed at that, and that is more important. There is no prize for winning the spring league. It is about inclusivity and enjoyment.
So input of the coach on the field. You are now in the exercise, and you're with the players. I think everyone can imagine this. Now, an exercise is running, you need to give coaching points. Quite important. So, how do you do this? You explain, you demonstrate, and then you demonstrate again. Okay, quite important. Then the exercise starts. Yeah, work on the floor of the exercise. Let the players have a go and find out how it works or not. Yeah, do not stop it immediately. Just let them have a bit of a flow.
And as the easiest question in the world, is it okay for our players to fail?
Absolutely. Again, there's never failure. There's only feedback, and this is pretty much what you need to make clear to the players. So if things do not work, then this is feedback, and this feedback leads back to training, into the question: how can I improve? What do I need to do? Yeah, where can I make a difference? So the exercise is running. Let them find out their mistakes and improve from there. If you feel then there's enough time over, stop it for a moment, give some more coaching points, or progress the exercise. Yeah. So work on open and restricted environments. What does that mean? If you have a drill, yeah, if a drill passing the ball from one side to the other one, this is a restricted environment, and players get bored. They always love to have open environments. That means environments of playing. Yeah, that means to keep the concentration high, run exercise as long as the players can hold the concentration. Change the targets to give new stimulus, or move on to the next. So now I come into the point of.
I apologize. It's podcasting 101. Yeah. Shut your phone off. I apologize.
Yeah. Basic techniques. The basic techniques you can cover in the fundamental and learn to train. Running with the ball, passing, receiving, defending, elimination. I put down now some exercises, but I don't think we really have to go through this.
So so just to explain about that, you can move the slides forward. We're going to show you some exercises. These are just some ideas, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about the basics of them, but we're not going to talk you through each exercise. You can pause the video to get all this information you can see there, and also if you have questions, you can come back to us with those. But we just want to give you some basic ideas and some basics that are really going to help our players to improve.
Yeah. So running with the ball around cones is a very simple exercise, but it has lots of potential to progress. So what can you do in this exercise? You can run around the cones with the forestick. Only with the forestick. You can run around on one side, on the right side with the forestick, on the left side then with reverse stick. You can ask the players to have the stick in one hand, first on the right hand, then on the left hand. You can change the distance of the coaches and the angle of the coaches, and you can change the speed, and you can do the exercise. You can put two next to each other, and then you can have relays, you can have competition. So there's a lot to do with these exercises, and I put these exercises in that you become a bit more creative in setting up your exercises you're happy with.
So I guess you're saying that it's not the exercise itself, but the it's more important the purpose of the exercise. So you could have cones for many different purposes and then adjust them depending on whether you want to work on like Indian dribble or open stick dribble or
Yeah, sure. You can have cones. The 1 week in the exercise I showed, the week after you have the cones in a completely different pattern with the same exercises, but because you have a different pattern, it is something new for the players, and they have to solve again this problem. So the same with the passing over here. The passing is in a square, and you can vary the size of the square. You can make out of it a domino or whatever. There are different shapes possible. The point in passing is you can pass the ball to the right, you can pass the ball to the left. The next step is the footwork. After the pass, I do footwork and pass the ball to the next player. If I pick up the ball, I can pick up the ball on the left foot, on the right foot, and pass the ball on. So there are lots of things. There are lots of things you can do. Let me. This is also an elimination, very simple one. Drag to the left, drag to the right, then drag to the left, run to the other side. That is a relay. So now you can do this running towards a goal and with shooting. You can do this diagonal. You can do this in different patterns. So one of the secrets in setting up cones is take 5 steps in between. Then it works. So over here is the explanation. You can pause this. The defense box, you start with the defender has the ball. The defender is on the top of the D, and the defender passes the ball to the attacker, and the attacker then has a task to dribble over the end cones, and the defender has a task to defend the ball best with forestick. This is why he has to follow why he has to come around and tackle the attacker with forestick.
And so again, after these webinars that we're doing for you, we're going to have a couple of sessions on the field. We'd love for you guys to sign up to those, and we'll be putting in the comments or wherever we'll and in emails we'll send out a link to a sign up for those, and that we'll go through some of these exercises in more detail on the field. Right now it's obviously just pictures. It's a little bit more conceptual.
Yeah, so here's the explanation for the defense box. Elimination is pretty much then you can do this with a defender, or the coach is over there. You know, you can at the end of the exercise you can have a target zone, or you can have a goalkeeper or with a goal. There are lots of things you can do with this, and then you have a very good exercise over here. We have.
Can you go back and just leave? We'll leave it on there a bit longer so people can pause it. Otherwise, it's only half a frame. Okay, I think they got it now.
Yeah, sorry. Over here, a shooting exercise. It starts with a player over here with the ball. Over here, we have a coach or a teammate, better a coach, because you need to pass the ball back. And so it starts with a pass into this position, then you start to run, and you have a hurdle, and you have to jump over it. And after you jump, you pick up the ball, you dribble through a cone, and you finish with a shot. So this is quite an interesting one, especially from the fundamental point. from the fundamental movement point of view. Sorry, I'm just look where's the mouse. Okay, over here you can do in front. You can do, for instance, say make a 360-degree turn and then jump, or you can say you jump over the hurdle with 2 feet or with 1. You know, there are lots of things you can do, and it makes them good fun for the players. Okay, so over here is a bit of the explanation.
And so, just to sort of summarize from there, I think one of the things I've really noticed from what Matthias, or the really useful information Matthias has given us here, is there may be one picture for an exercise, but there are hundreds of different ways you can set up that exercise. So use your own imagination and your own creativity, and think about your players and what they need and what they're going to find fun. And just adapt all these things to your situation. Don't try not to ever just take an activity and take the whole thing just as it is, whether you take it from us right now, or if you take it from the internet. There's lots of great coaching videos, or if you take it from a book, wherever you take these things from, just make sure that you are thinking about your case and adapting them as you need.
So very good. Unfortunately, now we come into areas where we could have another 10 webinars on, because I'm pretty sure there are so many questions on it. Tactics, I think, is more for the learn to train players who start to have games.
Yeah, so in our house leagues, U8 to U10 level, they do play games, right? We play games for 10, 15, 20 minutes at the end of each session, and that is an opportunity to maybe very briefly touch on tactics, but your tactics at that point are don't all crowd around the ball. This is not because your players aren't very good, or not, there's nothing wrong with them. It's simply a developmental stage that our children are going through, where they're not equipped to understand the larger space on a field, and no matter how many times you tell them to spread out, it's not within their conceptual idea of the world. So don't be disheartened with that. So this part of tactics now is more aimed at let's say 9, 10, 11-year-olds, right?
Yeah. So we start with the principle of attack, and we really need to keep this very simple. It means you attack over the right side and you score from the left. So why that? Well, the forcing side is a strong side. It's on our right side, so that means we attack over the weak side, over the left side of our opposition. And that means it is our right side we attack, and if we pass the ball from right to left, we can finish the ball still with forcing. So, well, there are lots of researches to this. Also, I don't know if you had a chance to see the scoring from the last World Cup, but well, there you can see the same attacking on the right, scoring on the left, in the lower left corner. Okay, so what kind of setups can you play if you have 8 players on the field? That means best is always to play with 3 defenders. I would suggest to play with 2 midfielders and 2 strikers, because this gives player more an opportunity to run where it matters. So you can introduce the principle of I've not put it not in here, I think, of the ball side and the help side, and that really helps. If you have two midfielders, then you have a midfielder on the ball side and you have a midfielder on the help side, and it is very simple to explain to a player who maybe has not developed so much abstract thinking, that the help side is to help the ball, and the ball side is on the ball side.
Where the ball is.
Where the ball is. Yeah. So these are small things. Another principle of attack is inside and outside, or outside and inside. So if we have a 16 in the middle of the pitch, and we pass the ball to the outside player, and we have to the right back, then the ball is outside. So now we can pass the ball either inside again, because there's a midfield player, or the midfield player who is inside runs outside and receives the ball down the line. So then we have this principle from inside coming outside on the running pattern. So it is quite simple, and when we are on the pitch, then we can deepen these thoughts. So the principle of defense is quite simple: defend away to the goal and put pressure on the ball carrier. So there's not much more you need to do.
Defending's easy.
Defending is easy, and most important is, if there's someone running with the ball, stop him.
Yeah.
So, good.
But I would say the most important principle of defending is you don't have to go and get the ball. You just have to stop them from getting the ball where they want to. They'll end up giving you the ball.
Yes, well, this comes. That's also a quite good one. So good. One against two defending. This is pretty much again for the learn to train. Is space. Making in defense, it makes sense to make spaces small. How can you imagine this one? You can line up the players best in the left corner, and everyone has to see and say how large is the field, how large is the pitch, and all players will say, yeah, it's quite huge. Now place one player in front of a player who is looking onto the field, and ask the same question again, and he will see that the field all of a sudden is quite small, because the player in front of him really does not allow him to see that much anymore. What does it mean for defending? It means if you take two players, you can cut out lots of space and make spaces small, and in small spaces it is much easier to win the ball. Good. But again, this is something we will follow up in our practical sessions. Good. Okay. Everyone to read?
No.
Good. The principles: closing down the ball carrier, first defender channels, second one wins the ball. Okay. So now for those who are looking to have a game, they will start in the first game just after one training, and they will have penalty corners. So over here are some thoughts how you can set up a penalty corner. On the right side, you can see we have a push out, we have a stopper, we have not a drag flick, but maybe in the learn to train, we are allowed to sweep the ball. We are not allowed to hit the ball, and we can have one player on the left for a tip in, and we can have a player on the right the tip in.
We clarified that with the league this year. They are allowed to hit the ball at this age group. It's not allowed to hit the ball in the air,
Okay.
but they are allowed to hit the ball. Hooray!
Fantastic.
So teach them that.
Yes.
Just to add to what Matthias has said about penalty corners, it is absolutely a great use of your time to teach these skills to these kids nice and early. Penalty corners are a huge part of the game. And lots and lots of goals, 35% of goals at the international level are scored from penalty corners. Is that right?
Well, less now. The defending gets better. So on the World Cups, they were 23% in average.
It's going down, but still a huge part of the game. So don't be scared to use part of your time to teach these skills to the kids.
So the skill matrix, again, have a look into this. This is something you can use, and if you plan your training, this is quite helpful. Fundamental movement skills, relays and games with and without the ball. Basic cognitive movements is running, jumping, sideways and backwards. I think the language, you need to keep it simple. Who knows where's right and where's left? I think even in older age groups we have big problems. Just say, "Come to me," or run to the sideline, or find terms where the kids can pick up easier.
And on the language point, it's actually a discussion that we have right through with FHBC and FHC, and at club level, all the levels, we're trying to align our language, but we are very aware that in different parts of the world, people talk about different things. But if we can find a common language and define through the club various concepts in the same way each time, then that's going to really help our kids to understand what we're trying to tell them. So that's something that's going to come from us through the sessions.
Excellent.
We're moving on.
So there's not much. I think everyone can read through this. There's 5, get dodging. Get used to the ball handling by dodging, balancing the ball on the stick. It's just to say sometimes it's easier if you get the right hand further down to the hook, then it's easier to dodge. And so I think that's it.
Okay, so So the things that are on this skill matrix, that's pretty much all you need to teach them. So do that and you're going to be a great coach. We're just switching back now. So in just 1 minute, you're going to see our wonderful faces again. Lucky you. And we'll explain what's going on. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Matthias. This is once again Matthias Ahrens, who has come in, long-time Hawk member, and as I say, a very, very, very highly qualified coach, ex-coach of the women's national team here in Canada, right? Is that right?
No, junior.
The junior boys national team. Some national teams. And we're very lucky to have him. So I want to say a huge thank you to Matthias for coming in today.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good fun.
I also want to say you might have seen the edge of Jonathan's face there. So this is Jonathan Ling. He's one of our board members and also a producer extraordinaire. So thank you very much for your help today. As I say, we will be running another one of these next week. We're going to be running it live. So we're going to send, by the time you receive this, you'll have instructions, but you'll be able to email us, send in any questions or topics that you might want to address, and we'll do our best. We can't promise, but we'll do our best to address those. and we will also have a couple of sessions on the field. We're also going to have opportunities for you to have some one-on-one mentor time with Mateus. Should you wish it, we're not going to force that on you, but we hope that lots of you are going to take us up on that offer, and we're going to have a fantastic spring season. So thank you very much. Take care.
Bye now.